Hi, Rachel. Yeah. Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for coming, Rachel. It was very hard to find time. Thank you again. I'm not native speaker, so I'm sorry for mistakes in my speech. And if it's okay for you, I hope we can continue. Okay?
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Rachel, again, thank you for coming. Because I know that it was hard to find time because you're busy. You have a business, you have your husband, you have your children, and you have a lot of things to do through the day. So please, my first question is how just you can run off these things and combine it in your one day. Just give me your secrets of shadow.
I have help. That's the secret. I'm from New Orleans, and we very much believe in community here. Not a big fan of the nuclear family that a lot of this country, you know, clings to. And so we have my mother, 74. She doesn't do a lot, but she keeps the kids entertained, a little bit. We have my sister, who's 19, who's going to college and also living with me. My ex-husband and older kid's father lives in an attached apartment, and my current husband lives here too, and we also have my best friend, and so I have help. I don't see how anyone could do it by themselves, and a lot of women have to.
Oh, yeah, I see that people love you and they want to help you. So Rachel, I noticed your brand really supports the LGBTQ community. What's the story behind that? What is that so close to your heart? Because I see that it's your personal, maybe it's history why you decide to support this community, and even in financial decisions, I see that you support people, you support their values, but not just money values. Maybe sometimes.
No, I try very hard to include my ethics in all my choices in business. We are an LGBTQ owned company. Um, I've always considered myself pansexual. I actually think I'm a lesbian, thanks to the now current discourse around comp heterosexuality that we're now having. But I wasn't really aware of that growing up in the Midwest. I'm from New Orleans, but I did live in Kansas when I was younger, and there's a lot of homophobia there. I actually grew up in the town of Westboro Baptist Church, Topeka, Kansas. And so there was a lot of hate and homophobia there that I was exposed to. I know how the real world implications are. When Trump was elected, I saw people I knew personally getting attacked in the streets because it empowered people and made them feel bold in their hate. And so I don't think there's any way to separate politics from any part of life for people who are marginalized, and it affects every single day of their lives. I mean, we're talking about basic human rights here. So for me, obviously I'm not going to do anything that would be against that. If I when we were offered a collection with we were offered a licensing deal with Alice Cooper last year, and I took it. His reps were all like, he's been defying gender norms for 50 years. He's been, dressing as a woman. He uses a woman's name. He's very, spoke out in pro LGBTQ spaces in the 80s and 90s. And I'd never heard anything bad about the man until he said those things in the media last year, which were some dangerous right wing talking points that were 100% misinformed about kids having like transitional surgeries. Doesn't even happen. It's not even a real thing. But it's very dangerous to say those things because it does affect people's basic human rights and access to healthcare. And so we immediately just canceled the collaboration. Nothing else really came of it aside from we just canceled it. Like, we didn't do anything. We didn't speak out like against him personally. We just said we're going to cancel the collection. That's it. This unfortunately got picked up in the media in a really big way. And we were doxxed and harassed by the right wing media for 2 weeks, which is kind of a long news cycle, honestly. We were getting death threats. It was crazy. But it was 100% the right thing to do.
That was my second question for you about this Alice Cooper case, and you just answered all my questions. So I think that the name of brand, a new brand, I mean Phoenix Rising, is of course the consequence of this Alice Cooper case. Yeah, am I right that you just decided to say to show that your brand is alive and like Phoenix, you just come back to market and stay this story with vampire cosmetics in the past with this scandal. I mean, no.
No, it's actually not connected to the Alice Cooper controversy at all. So I am autistic. That's why we're also a disabled owned company as well. And I ended up bringing on business partners in Vampire when I was still involved with the vampire community in Los Angeles and in New Orleans. And that is a very predatory community. There were some very dangerous people who were involved, and I got very involved in that situation, and there were some bad things that happened as a result of it. Unfortunately, I've been involved in a lawsuit with my ex-business partner since the beginning of the year, and I am now speaking out on TikTok about some of my experiences with these predators in the vampire world. And I'd already wanted to change the name of vampire before the Alice Cooper thing even happened, because I'd already been moving away from this community, um, because and the negative associations with it. But I'd already had established the name was vampire, and I had to wait until I legally had the ability to make that change. But I didn't want to use it anymore because it was associated with these bad things for me. But also, it's also a very niche name, a very gothic name, and I love goth. You know, I love that's where I came up in. That's how I ended up in that community in the first place. Is I turned to the gothic subculture as a teenager to find community because I was outcasted. I didn't know I was autistic yet. I didn't know that's why people didn't like me, and I found a community there. And there are some good people, of course, but I feel like predators kind of target those communities because they know people are vulnerable. They know they can find vulnerable targets in those spaces, unfortunately. And there's not a lot of accountability, but we're hoping to change that. But I wanted to move away from it for that reason because vampires, very, very niche. Obviously, the associations with the community that was bad. And a lot of retailers and licensors didn't want to give us a license or a deal because of the name vampire. It was not a broad enough name. And that's actually the second company that I've owned. The first one was Belladonna, and it also ended up closing due to things going on in the vampire world at that time as well. And so I'm very used to. I've been 13 years in the business now, and I've had to rebuild once completely from scratch, and now I'm kind of building up again with this new business. And so Phoenix Rising is probably the most appropriate name you can think of because we do just kind of rise from the ashes and keep
Oh
going.
yes. You're a strong woman and you support other strong women in your company. I know that your company is built by women and people who support the LGBT community, but you still support vegan and your products still be on vegan base yet. So no animals died, just in devoted to cosmetics, to manufacturing these cosmetics. And I'm curious, do this make financial sense for you? I mean that it seems to be like vegan products are more it could be cheaper if you don't use vegan products but you use some original things like
Not
this.
anymore. It definitely used to be that way, and it was very slow for the bigger companies to
Mm-hmm.
start doing cruelty free. I think they just didn't want to change. I think that that's the benefit to independent brands is that we can move very quickly and adapt to what we think is right, but also with what people want. And I've been doing vegan makeup since 2011 when my first company started. I've always done it. I don't understand. I'm not vegan myself personally. You know, I eat meat. I live in Louisiana. We eat tons of seafood, crawfish, whatever. If it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't eat us first, we eat it. That's the joke, right? So, alligator.
Okay.
But I don't see the reason why you should have to use animals in cosmetic products. You don't need makeup. It's not an essential item for life. It's not, you don't need it to live. It's supposed to be fun. And that's very much the messaging behind our brand too, is that we're doing this for fun. We're doing this because we want you to feel good about yourself, not bad about yourself. Like a lot of the makeup industry wants you to feel bad. I want you to feel good. I want it to be fun. I want it to be art. That's the
Mm-hmm.
entire point. We don't sell a standard of beauty. But no, it's not really any more expensive anymore. Most manufacturers now do vegan by default or offer vegan. We also were talc free before it became more standard. Now it's more standard. There still are some companies that use talc in their products, but it's often contaminated with asbestos and it's not safe. There's been a lawsuit against like Johnson and Johnson for their baby
Mm-hmm.
powder over the talc situation. So people are getting more aware now. But I've been very aware of the regulations or lack thereof is getting better. Like new MACRA, FDA regulations are getting better. Since I was in high school, I found Paulette Bagoon's Beauty Bible at Barnes and Noble when I was 16, and
Oh.
she tore the industry to shreds, talking about the claims and how they're not substantiated and how these ingredients aren't necessarily effective or safe. They're just being used to sell a point. And so that's when I decided originally I'm going to start a makeup company when I'm older, and I did. And I wanted it to be ethical. I wanted to make sure that anything that we use in it needs to be used in it is sourced ethically and is effective. Otherwise, we're not going to use it.
Mm-hmm. You just predict my questions. So my next question is about. I saw this title on your site, "One of a Kind, Just Like You." It's so closer to every person. I think that you just want to say that your brand is one of others, but just so identified, just so personal, just about your and your audience too. And what I see that how just you stay true to your values and identity with so much going on in the industry. I mean, beauty industry. You just stay yourself. You just stay authentic, and your brand stay just like you created it. Maybe some special strengths helps you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. That's kind of why, we have the conflict we've had in the lawsuit, and I've turned down licenses, Alice Cooper. I also stopped working with Vampire Vineyards because they said that they would not renew my license if I didn't stop speaking out about Palestine, in support of Palestine publicly. And I said I'm not doing that, and so we canceled that line. It's a choice. It's a choice that everyone makes, and some big companies might have people who agree with me in them, but they are run by so many people. There's investors, there's backers, some of them have an IPO, they're publicly traded. There's, all these different people. They can't just make these calls. As an independent brand, I have the ability to make those calls and stand by my values. And yeah, everything that we do is made by the fans, for the fans. That's why we do the collabs, we do the collections we do. We pick things that we are personally fans of. That's the whole idea of it, so we can do it authentically, but we're doing it for the fans. We're doing it for people like us. I realized at my lowest point when my first company collapsed in 2019 that I wasn't alone. And that's really kind of the coolest thing to figure out. I created this dumb, posting page on Facebook just to kind of post the memes I didn't feel like posting on a personal page because I was going through it, you know? And I thought, okay, it's just going to be there. I'm going to just post into the void. But it turns out all these things that I was posting about, it ended up gaining like 250,000 followers, like with not even trying. Just because I realized at that point that the closer it is to personal, the closer it is to your personal lived experience, the more people out there that probably share those experiences don't even know it yet. That's why they tell singers, like in Hollywood, they tell singers, like, when you write songs, make it personal. Make it as personal as possible because it's more relatable that way. People always feel like, oh, I'm the only one dealing with this. No, you're not. There's lots of people out there who are going through whatever you're going through, whatever it is. And when you find that audience online, that's the beautiful thing about connecting the way we can now. About TikTok, about, social media. It can be bad. It can definitely be a negative influence. But when you use it to find community, I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Rachel, it's a very original approach to business because that people want to find model of business, something like that. And when you say that you should do from your heart, from your personal values, and it seems to be like, yeah, it can be life. I see your example, and I can say that okay, in a new business, you can stay be with your values, with your vision of the world, and you shouldn't be like like a slave to industry, to just maybe money man, something like that. You should be yourself, and it's very very hard to and closer to me, and I think to our audience. Okay, I have a question about sales. I know that October is just a crazy month for all brands, and especially for cosmetics, and especially for you and your brand. Could you say me, please, beyond Halloween and Black Friday, are there other big sales peaks through the year?
We do them periodically, to clear out old stock, to, promote something new. We usually have our influencers have anywhere from 20, 25, 30 to 40% codes, which work on our website. And so we try to let them have higher sales than whatever we have going on currently because we want them to get a chance to make that money. Because we do give them a commission, but we also do pay for UGC they create as well.
Mm-hmm. So, and what's your strategy to promote your brand on social media? You mentioned influencers, but maybe you use some ambassador schemes, just maybe.
Yeah, I mean, when I
Uh,
say influencers, I don't mean like in the traditional sense because
oh, yes.
influencers for us is just anybody who's applied to be an influencer and we approved them. They don't have to have a big following. They don't have to even have 1,000 followers. They can be any size, any look, any background whatsoever. We do try to focus on marginalized identities. We want to be as diverse as possible in representation, but really what we're doing is we're wanting to show people like our customers. We're not trying to show models. We're not selling to models. It's like 2% of the population, right? So we're selling to everybody. And so we want to show in our social media that we post from our, influencers and our team that they look like everybody else. That's who we're selling
So,
to.
so everybody can become your influencer.
Anybody, yeah.
Right. And maybe you use some special tools in Instagram. I mean, suggestions, I don't know, like reposts, something like that.
We do
So can,
reposting and collabs, yeah. And
uh-huh.
we also have like the store attached to Instagram and stuff. They can tag it. And like so we also use UGC that they create in our advertising. We have a paid advertising model where we buy ads on social media. And that's how we get
Mm,
most of our sales.
okay. And do you do paid collaborations or not?
We do
I
paid
just didn't.
collaborations. But they're
Yeah.
not, again, not traditional. We're not going after like the big makeup influencers. We're going after like regular people who just have a
Mm-hmm.
passion for it and want to have a platform because then we help each other out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
And what?
cosplayers too.
Yeah, I see. So, oh, so what make the decision to create cosmetics to fandoms? It's very narrow niches, as I think, or maybe it was just financial decision to say to see your audience in fandom niche. You know what I mean? I mean
Yeah.
that your audience
Well, I
is
think
fans. It's
it's more of what I was talking about. I'm creating things I want to see. I'm a fan of these things, or my team is a fan of them, and so we want to create that because we want to get to work with the brands, the IPs, the TV shows, the movies we love personally, and we know that the fans would appreciate it too. One of the big things people complain about when they see licensed collections is it's didn't hit the mark they were looking for. They can picture personally how much cooler it could be if the companies basically gave a damn, right? And
mm-hmm,
so, if they cared, they could go a lot more farther with the packaging. We're a little bit limited on like the tooling we can do in the molds based on demand. So some of the smaller collections we've had, we cannot get as custom with as we want to, but we still don't do basic products. Everything is, even if it's just paper based, it's shaped,
mm-hmm,
shaped like the actual things in palette form. Everything is, printed on. There's usually Easter eggs hidden that allude to the fandoms as well. And part of it also is just I'm autistic. And so I have niche, narrow interests. And therefore, it's also part of the, sense of justice is a very common thing as well with us. And so I do feel very strongly about keeping to my values as well because of that. And yeah, it does make financial sense because we're in a small brand. So we don't have the reach that say a huge company in the makeup world is going to have. But if we partner with these companies that already have a huge following, like, Buffy the Vampire Slayer already has a huge fandom, we are automatically in front of those fans already. We don't have to worry about going out and getting them. They're already coming to us because we're creating what they want.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, I started to learn English from Vampire Diaries series. And I understand what you mean, and I wanted to say and I wanted to ask you about who is responsible for marketing strategy in your company. You or you have special maybe managers or something like that who is creating your content and marketing strategy and work with influencers.
We were working with a company named Evestar, and they kind of moved in a different direction, and so did we. And now we're going to be working with Code 3 for the rest of the year, starting November 1st, and then next year as well. They are a lot more aligned with what we're trying to do right now. They can support us on things like Paramount because they partner with Paramount, Hulu because we have ad accounts with both these companies, and we have partnerships with, well, pending with Paramount and already with Disney, which is on Hulu and Disney Plus. And so that's what we're going to be doing going forward. In the interim, I've just been handling them myself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I've kind of had to learn
So
how to do every job. I'm not great at all of them, but being a business owner, you have to kind of wear all the hats at some point.
okay,
And then as
so
you grow, you hire to your weaknesses. That's the idea, anyway.
yes, I see. So inclusivity and self-expression seems to be very valued for you. But did you remember some special, memorable answer from your audience, from your clients, that they say maybe something like that? We love your cosmetics because of your values, because of that your connection with audience, something like that. Did you remember this memorable feedback from your customers?
I don't know that I could recall like a specific comment or email, but we've gotten a lot of them. We do get a lot of them. I get probably more every day, especially when the Alice Cooper thing happened. That was a lot of the comments we were getting on social media. It was very supportive, which I appreciate. That's the whole reason we're doing it in the first place. I do think things are changing. Like Gen Z, for example, and Gen Alpha definitely will be more like this as well. They expect the companies they buy from to share their values. They don't want
Mm-hmm.
to support companies that don't. Look at what happened to Starbucks, the boycott over them supporting Israel. You know, anyone who wanted to support Palestine, they lost like $18 billion in 2 months last year from the
Oh,
boycott.
yes.
And so, I mean, people really are, and it's hard. Like, cost of living is through the roof, cost of groceries is through the roof. We're creating a product that's not essential. Yeah, I mean, usually historically, makeup has done well in recessions, but it's not anymore. We learned that in the pandemic. It was not doing great. It actually went down for the first time ever because people weren't going out. You know, they
Yes.
weren't buying lipstick because they had to wear masks. And so it's not a recession proof industry anymore because people don't internalize the messaging that the beauty industry used to give out as much. We have a very, strong body positivity movement. People are embracing their flaws. We're deconstructing, we're decolonizing the standards of beauty in this country, which is fantastic and super important. We're also indigenous owned. My ex-husband is a co-owner, and he's of Salika tribe, and
Mhm.
so it's super important to us, but it's also important to our customers. I think things are changing, and as time goes forward, we're now entering the age of Aquarius. It's going to be more important for companies to be authentic and hold some kind of value. They have to make a stand. What happened during Black Lives Matter is that any company that didn't say something was boycotted. You have to say something. You pick a side. You can't not anymore. Everything is political. Everything is connected, and it all matters.
Rachel, I don't know how, but our interview is so logical because our first interview was with Dashon Roussel. He is a blogger from Connecticut, and he is a black guy, so black gay. So and he has a lot of problems in this industry. He's great artist. He can create good makeup for everybody, and his work was mentioned in Vogue, but unfortunately, he has this same. Relations to himself, and he feel that he still be black and a gay man in this society, and this so it's so hard because it seems to be like everybody know that we are equal, we have equal rights, and we have equal view on this world. But again, some people and some brands have special struggles in this world and special, things to go through. And I see that you one of the examples that how a woman can go through these all struggles. It's fantastic. So
Yeah, I'd love to meet him.
yeah.
That's what let's talk about. Yeah, no, yeah, theoretically we have equal rights and all that, but we know in this country it's not how it works. It's not really how it works. There's so many advantages or disadvantages a person can have based on their background. And so for that reason, yeah, it is a lot harder in business for somebody like me or someone like him. 100%. If I was a white man, I would have had venture capitalists 10 years ago when I was in my first business incubator and pitching to VCs back then, but that's not how it works. We have to fight twice as hard and be twice as good to even get noticed.
Oh, yeah, see. Okay, Rachel, I have another question about your collection. I saw that the last collection is about a line movie. Yeah, it's like was about a line movie,
Alien.
and Alien movie. Yeah, but so how you decide which collection would be next? Will be next, and about which movie, maybe book, something like that. How you decide
Right.
which collection?
We have a lot of things in the works right now, and a lot of it comes down to timing on their side. And so if we're working with like Alien, that was our first promotional deal. There's a difference between licensing and promotional deals. Licensing deals usually you pay up front. The more you get in the industry, the less you have to pay up front, and the more like you just kind of give an estimate and then you pay royalties every quarter
Mhm.
on a percentage of sales. With a promotional deal, usually you're committing to a certain ad spend or certain promotional activities, and it's a limited type of collection. You can't go as crazy with the packaging. It's a limited run. You can't sell it for 2 or 3 years like a licensing deal you would. You only have like the term of the promotion around the film, usually 6 months.
Mhm.
And the whole point is to launch it around the film release or the TV show release or the game release or whatever they're doing. That's the entire point of it. And so when those come around, you have to do it within that time frame.
Oh, yeah, so okay, what's your future plans in your brands and your business? What are you going to do next? Something like that. What's your about your plans?
Well, we started talking to investors early this year when we changed the brand over. And since we are now functioning as a startup, but we do have all the traction from the previous companies,
Mm-hmm.
we are working on getting investors so that we can hopefully bring manufacturing, cosmetics into the U.S. more. I really want to open up a factory here in Louisiana. I really want to bring it into the future, and also I want to include our fans more in the process. So we're actually working on an equity crowdfunding campaign as well, wherein we will let fans or customers become investors of the company, and that way they can get early design involvement, because normally with the licensing deals we have contracts, we can't share anything until it's gone through 10 approvals, right? But if they're an owner of the company, even if it's a small amount, they can actually get to come in and see and give feedback and be involved in the process of designing these collections. That way we can be really made by the fans for the fans, not just us being the fans, but them the fans too.
Mm-hmm. I see that everybody can be your influencer and your investor, as I understand what
Everybody
you
can, yeah,
said.
it can be a community owned company. That's the idea.
It's a wonderful thing, Rachel. I just read that this company can be alive, but I didn't believe that really a woman could do this company in this way. Because I thought that you should find investors from men world, just be passionate, be nice, be cute for them, and create your products under their circumstances or their requirements. And I see you that you just. You're like a tank in very good mention. You're just like a strong woman who just do what she wants. And I see that you have your husband who helps you. I just saw on the website that you create new company, or maybe I'm wrong, but you creating new website together. And it seems to be like you have a very good supporting team behind you. I mean, your husband, your mom, your family, your children again. It seems to be like very it's very cool and strong story. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
There, I think I have a last question about what you want to see in your collaborations in the future. Maybe you see some other brands, other artists, musicians, or bloggers who can be your influencers, ambassadors. But again, we remember the Alice Cooper situation, but who is your favorite
Yeah, I
blogger,
don't think
influencer,
I'll be
something?
working with musicians again.
Okay, this will be in past. Okay.
We've talked to about a lot of them, talked to several, and I think attaching to a person is a little bit too much that I can do, because people are human, right? And I don't want to endorse someone whose behavior I don't agree with. And so with the companies, at least we try to choose companies that are acting within our values. They know that we're very upfront about our ethics, about our support, about our politics. They know that, or they wouldn't have signed with us. Disney supports us 100% in everything we've done, from the Alice Cooper cancellation to being very pro-Palestine. They support all of that, which is fantastic. We're talking to a lot of companies right now about potential future collaborations. One of the ones I'm really trying to get is Pokemon, because it's my favorite thing. You probably see in the background my Squishmallows over there.
Mhm.
I don't buy Squishmallows
Okay.
anymore because they do support Israel. I found that out afterwards, but I love Pokemon.
Okay, thank you, Rachel, so much. I love you. I love your brand. I love that your values that you translate. So I'm very happy that you found your time for our interview. Thank you again.
Thank you for
Thank
having me. I
you.
really appreciate it. It's fun talking to
Thank you,
you.
Rachel.